Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Cedric Hardnett. It's nice to see you all. I'm sure some of you have already met me or maybe even emailed me based off of your MOUs and things. But if you are not familiar with me, I am Cedric Hardnett. I'm the Director of Business Process Management in the Office of Planning Institutional Effectiveness. So since June of last year or so, um, our office, the Office of Planning Institutional Effectiveness, has been tasked with trying to figure out a way to improve upon our current MOU processing system. Um, we had a few issues that were brought to us at the time when we were asked to kind of figure out some type of a workaround or some type of a fix. And especially as it pertains to transparency, just overall processing, trying to figure out how to get this MOU from start to finish. There were a lot of things that were we surveyed a few folks and received just different information as far as what was paining folks when it came to the system. As you all know, we created a kind of a Band-Aid with the Qualtrics system. What we did there was with our Qualtrics system, we created a way for everyone to be able to process and put in their MOUs and make sure they were there. But then what was happening on the back end was that I and some administrative liaisons around the university were more or less processing those manually to get MOUs coming in and getting them into the right route so they got to the right cabinet members and to the attorneys and then to the president ultimately for signature. But with that, there were some things that still needed to be pieces that needed to be put on it. Other things that folks told us that they wanted to see that we needed to figure out a way to make that happen. Again, I go back to transparency. Essentially, in the current Qualtrics system that we have, the transparency is me. Most of you, when you want to know where your MOU is, you'll email me and ask, "Hey, Cedric, could you tell me where this is?" And then I will get in touch with whoever the administrative liaison is, or the cabinet member is, or the attorneys, or wherever it is in the process. I'll message them and just say, "Could you tell me what the status is, or could you find out what the status is?" And then that ultimately gets to you. Um, we had been thinking and wanting to figure out a way to automate this process, put it into a centralized system, and do all these and make it transparent. And it was sometime towards the end of last year, I believe maybe even early this year. We were in conversation with a vendor that we already work with for our record retention team, and we recognized that we have a system that actually could do that. And and our vendor came together and we collaborated and we created this new routing system that we believe does provide. Well, and we look forward to seeing your feedback. But this is the system that is going to provide that these the help that is needed for the university. Now, it is iterative system. So there are going to be changes and things that need to go along to make it, to boost it over time. But I'm really excited to show you all the new MOU system and to really get into why we're doing this, what's going on, and then also ultimately how you all fit in as beta users. Now, the reason why you all are beta users is because you have based off of your past submissions into the MOU system, especially over the past year, we believe that you all are potentially going to be or would be the people that are more likely to submit an MOU again soon. So we wanted to make sure that you all had early access to the system because you're familiar with the current MOU system, the current Qualtrics system, and we wanted you to see this new system and actually utilize this new system so that we can start to gauge feedback from you all in terms of how you're experiencing it and that sort. Um, so that is why you all are the beta users. This is why you all are going to be having early access to this system. And as I stated earlier, come Monday, the Qualtrics system is going to be no more. We're not going to be using a Qualtrics form to process MOUs. We are going to be using this MOU system. You will log in and use that system in order to process your MOUs. And the approvers and the cabinet members and things, log into that system as well to move it along the chain. But I'm really excited to provide you guys a walkthrough of what you're going to be experiencing, what the approvers will experience, and ultimately how your MOUs are going to go from being submitted all the way through, as well as a few changes in terms of culture. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into a presentation to show you. Also, I want to make sure I note this. As you may have saw, I sent an agenda. I do have I have blocked out time for questions towards the end. So I just ask that if you have questions, write them down, hold them, because at the end, I will be able to then take your questions. But I just want to make sure with the time that we have that I am able to get through the presentation, the demo, and then at that point, we can go ahead and have time for questions and answers. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get us started here with this presentation. So can everyone see my screen that says MOU, MOA intake and review system overview?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Oh, actually, let me start this over one more time. Apologies here. I forgot I'm going to need this. Okay, and we can see it again. MOU, MOA intake and review system. All right. All right. Go ahead and get started. So challenge. Yes. Oh, okay, I see. The MOU and MOA submission process was challenged due to these are some of the things that we heard when we were trying to understand what the challenges were with the MOU system. Slow turnaround times, absence of a standardized workflow, limited awareness of procedures, insufficient visibility and responsibility across stakeholders. There was no uniform platform for managing academic and non-academic agreements. And there was an unclear custodianship of finalized MOUs and MOAs. These were some of the challenges, not all, but these were some of the challenges that we heard come up multiple times when it came to the MOU system. So the solution, the OPI has partnered with Document Sync Inc. to build an automated MOU intake and routing system that improves transparency, accountability, and efficiency across the approval process. The routing system enables real-time status tracking, presidential signatures, and centralized archiving to support compliance and record retention. So some of the features that you'll see as I get into the walkthrough of the new system. These are some of the things that this new system will have. One, it has document routing, so that your document, when you submit it, it makes its way to the appropriate approval channels. It'll make its way up there automatically. It's automatically going to make its way. In-app document signature for the president. Document commenting, so there will be the ability in that system, in this one system, the ability for the different approvers along the way to document and state if there's if there's an issue or they need you to correct something. It'll all happen within that system. We won't have to do back and forth emailing. That way, also with it staying there in that system, you'll be able to see past comments and just see how the MOU evolved over time rather than having an email chain. It'll all exist in this one system. There will be email reminders. As you all know, there aren't really any email reminders right now to let you know, hey, your MOU might have this issue or that issue. And this is especially important for the approvers. When you submit your MOU, they will be notified that the MOU is in their queue. They don't have that right now. They have to manually go into the system and see that it's there and then start to work on it. So this will add a higher level of accountability in terms of actually making sure that folks act on these MOUs that are submitted. There's document tracking for all stakeholders. So if you submit, you will be empowered to see where your MOU is in the process. You won't have to email me or anybody. You'll be able to see exactly who has your MOU right then and there. And I will show you how you can do that as well. So there will be more transparency for everyone in the system to be able to see where their document is in process. Document versioning. So you'll be able to take a document and say your MOU needs to be corrected for whatever reason, or maybe there's a change, you need to change a paragraph. You'll be able to download the document, make your change, and then re-upload it right in right back into that into the system, and you won't have to start all over again. Instead, you'll just change the document out, and it'll be able to just show as just this is the second version or the third version or the fourth version, however many versions you need, but it'll show in the system the most recent version, the one that is corrected without having to start all over again and wait and go back through. So document, and that leads into document case management. These documents are not just, we're not just having one document and doing email change or anything. With this system, it's a case. So because it's a case, all of the comments, all of the versioning, everything stays inside this one case. That way it can change. If changes need to happen, you don't have to start over. You go right back to whoever asked the change. You'll be able to just keep it all succinct inside of one place. I will explain that more as we go. Integration with FileNet Archive. So we already are using FileNet. FileNet is the record retention system that OPI uses, because within OPI is the record retention team, and they are responsible for maintaining an archive of the university documents. So this system archive is integrated with the FileNet archive system. So when you complete your MOU and your document is signed, it will be automatically archived into the UDC document retention system. So while it's always important and good practice for you to maintain your own document and maintain your own filing system. For some reason something were to happen, or say someone left and you don't know where that document is, OPI, the record retention team, we have that. It'll be archived. You'll be able to kind of come to us and say, hey, I had this MOU from 3 years ago with this partner. I want to use it as a template. Can I get that? Because it's archived, we'll be able to pull that for you. And you may even be able to use this system and find it yourself. So you'll be able to have access to the past documents that you put into this system. Status and time reporting. Again, yeah, we'll be able to tell you where the document is, how long it's been there. Automated conditional routing. Again, based off of how you answer certain questions in the form, that automatically moves the MOU wherever it needs to go to the correct cabinet member, so on and so forth. And your MOU intake form. Some of the systems that we were looking at, we were looking for our permanent fix. Didn't really have the ability to do an intake form the way that Qualtrics did, but this one does have an intake form that is really similar to what you had to fill out for Qualtrics. So we'll be able to do that, and that also feeds into the automated conditioning. So that is the features. And now I'm going to be moving into a short video. Can you all hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to the UDC MOU routing system. In this short video, we'll walk through what you need to prepare before submitting a memorandum of understanding, and what to expect once it enters the system. Before you submit. Before you begin drafting or discussing an MOU with an external partner, you must first meet with your cabinet-level supervisor. This step ensures the proposed partnership aligns with university priorities. You should not represent the university or commit to any agreement until this conversation has taken place. Required documents. Once you have cabinet-level approval, gather the following documents before submitting your MOU. A finalized version of the MOU in Word format. A certificate of fund availability from the Office of the Chief Financial Officer, if the MOU involves university funds. An academic routing form, signed by your department chair and dean, if the MOU is academic. The original MOU, if the submission is a renewal. Any additional documentation, including confirmation from your cabinet-level supervisor that the required conversation occurred. Training and access. You must complete training before receiving login access to the system. Beta users have already been identified and will be contacted directly. If you are not part of the beta group and would like access, you will need to complete a training request form. Once training is complete, credentials will be issued. happens after submission. After submission, your MOU will move through the appropriate review and approval steps. This may include your cabinet representative, the administrative liaison, the vice president of research, the office of general counsel, and the president. You will be able to check the status of your MOU at any time. The system provides visibility into where your submission is in the process, helping you stay informed as it moves forward. Support and contact. If you have questions or need support, contact the Director of Business Process Management in the Office of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness. Thank you for helping us improve how we manage partnerships at UDC.
Awesome. Okay. So now what I'm going to be doing is moving into a walkthrough of how you would come Monday access the system and submit an MOU and what other functionalities you'll be able to have in this new system. So some of this might be redundant because I'm going to show you essentially where you usually do submit an MOU and or where you go to submit an MOU, but then you'll see the changes as I go. So let me move on over. Okay. So you all are currently looking at the homepage of UDC. So if you didn't know, the way that you would access the system, the MOU system right now, is that you will come over to this menu right here to the right-hand side, top right-hand side, click on that. And then you're going to click the down button on About and go to Administration here. And scroll down to Planning Institutional Effectiveness and get to the Business Process Management page. And then the Business Process Workflow. And you scroll down to the MOU MOA intake process, and you can click the MOU MOA intake form. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. I'm not 100% sure of the communication that you received today. Again, that was sent out prematurely, but there is a email that I plan to send and would like to send out that has your credentials in it, but also has a direct link to the to this system, so that you don't have to go through the web page to find the button to get to the MOU system. You can. That's why it's important to maintain that email with your username and password, because there will be a link that you can also click to get you right to the sign-in page. But if you for some reason don't have that link or whatever the case might be, this is how you will get to the intake form. Right now, that form will take you to the Qualtrics form because it's still active in case anybody has an MOU before we finish up trainings and all of that. But on Monday, when you click that button, it's going to take you to the sign-in page. So it's not live now. So I'm going to show you when it is live. This is what the sign-in page is going to look like. It'll you all see something that says stack. Can someone confirm verbally?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So when you come here, this is where you will log into the MOU system. In my opinion, I think it's a good idea to, as you can see, my username and password is already loaded in. That's because it's I saved it to my I use Chrome. I use Google Chrome as my browser. I saved it to my Google passwords. I recommend you do the same. That way you never have to really remember the password. It'll just auto load in. But this is where you'll come to log into the system. And when you log in, it'll take you to your homepage. This is the homepage. You'll see, and you'll be listed as a university representative. That is the role that you play in this MOU process. Now, when you are ready to submit an MOU, you are going to need to know if your MOU is academic or non-academic. As you all are familiar with the current Qualtrics system, there is a question that asks you, is this an academic or a non-academic MOU? Most MOUs that come through the system are academic MOUs. Most of them are like we're establishing an internship partnership or something of that nature. Or we're going to be providing classes for for adult learners or whatever the case might be. Or we're entering some grant agreement. I'm not sure, but most of them are academic. But some of them are non-academic. Non-academic are, we are. It's for operations. We're doing an MOU for the like when we had the archive coming in and we needed to partner with different construction agencies and things like that. If that be the case, then it's going to be non-academic. Right here, you would select what your MOU type is, if it's academic or if it's non-academic. In this case, I'm going to select academic just because most of them are academic, but if not, then they're non-academic. Only major difference I feel between academic and non-academic is that, well, one, that academic, it has a set, its pathway is going to be different than the non-academic, but also academic MOUs you have to have a routing form. You need to complete a routing form where your dean and your chair sign that routing form. Most of you are familiar with that form. You will still need to do that. Non-academic MOUs do not need that form. Um, so let me go ahead and I'm going to click and start what it would look like to submit an academic MOU in this case. So when you click that academic MOU, what it's going to auto load in is your first name, your last name, and your email is going to auto load in from the directory. It knows who you are just off of you logging in. So you don't need to like type in your first, last name or email or anything like that. But just make sure when you go through, just make sure that that is there though. You want to trust but verify. So this system knows that I'm in, so they're going to ask me my title. I am the Director of Business Process Management. My office is OPI. My department is, I'm gonna just say BPM. Now, there's going to be a question, just as that video asked, is this a MOU or MOA renewal? If it's a renewal, you will need to submit your original MOU, wherever that is. You'll need to get the original copy of the MOU that was signed by the university. So that's important. So in this case, I'm gonna say, sure, my MOU is a renewal. Is this MOU, are we working with a District of Columbia government agency? If so, if you say, yes, we are, you will tell the system what agency you're working with. There's a drop down here, and there's a drop down here in the agencies of the university. The agencies of DC government are here. You would just select which one you were working with. If it's not listed here, then click other. I just ask if to just make sure before you click other and then type in here what that agency is, just be sure that it's not in this list already. We want to try to make sure that we are consistent in which agencies we're working with. This is for reporting purposes. We want to be able to figure out which agencies we're working with, and by being able to select one of these, it kind of just keeps that list consistent. So if you can, just make sure before you click other that the agency that make sure the agency is not in this list. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm not working with a government agency. So does the university have an obligation to expend funds or pay this partner organization? I'm going to say yes. If you know that your MOU has a requirement that that UDC will be paying the partner agency for whatever service we're getting from them or whatever, you must obtain a certificate of fund availability from the Office of the Chief Financial Officer or the Budget Office. You can go to their webpage, go to UDC and go to the Chief Financial Officer webpage, and you go to their forms, and you will be able to see that fund certification request form. You'll reach out to whoever your representative is at within the Office of the Chief Financial Office. Every unit in the university has a specific person that they're assigned to. So you'll reach out to whoever you're assigned to and just tell them, hey, I need a certificate of fund availability. And they're just going to ask you, what account, what index is this coming from? How much is this going to be? That's how come it's also important that you know that information as well. And then they're going to just check and confirm that you have that money in the in that account, that it's loaded in and ready for disbursement. It's required that you get that certification if you know that the university is going to spend money. It is absolutely required that you get that certification before the MOU can be signed. So make sure that before you even enter into the system that you have that document done beforehand. And also, let me just reiterate something else that the video talked about. It is imperative that you have a conversation with your cabinet member before you ever even enter into an MOU conversation, before you draft, before you put anything down on paper. You should have had a conversation with your cabinet member and told them the idea that you have, the partnership idea that you have, and they need to approve that. And if you can't, and when you do that, I definitely implore you to get that down in writing, whether it be send an email just saying, hey, so this is the idea that I want to do with this partner. Can you confirm that I can move forward with drafting an MOU agreement and get their written confirmation? It's essential that that happens beforehand, because no one is supposed to represent the university if without approval from a cabinet member or a university official. Especially if you're going out there and beginning a legal partnership, you must get that approval beforehand. So back to what I was stating here, though. Yes, if you are expected to expend funds, then you're going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Did you get that certificate of that funding certification from UDC Budget Office? Yes, I did. I'm going to say that this proposal, or sorry, this MOU, we're going to be spending $10,000. We're going to do it over the course of 1 year or something like that. As you can see, I cannot change if this is academic or non-academic. That's why it's important to know beforehand if this is going to be the academic or non-academic. It's important that you are aware. If you're a professor, more than likely the MOU that you're submitting is academic in nature, more than likely. If you work in, say, the Chief Operating Officer's division or even Chief Student Development Success Office, you're probably going to be non-academic. You might be working with students or something. So you all have submitted MOUs. You're familiar with how your MOUs work. I trust that you all know if it's going to be academic or non-academic, but just make sure that you select it. You select the correct box, because this cannot be changed. Now you're going to then choose your executive sponsor. Your executive sponsor is the cabinet member over the area that you work within. So if you're a professor, your executive sponsor is going to be the chief academic officer. It's going to be that. If you work in student success, then your executive sponsor will be the chief officer of student development success. If you work in the office of the president, then it's probably going to be the president. It may be the chief of staff, but whoever is the cabinet member that you directly, the division that you directly work up under, that's going to be the executive sponsor that you select. Let's see. Has your executive sponsor reviewed this MOU MOA? This question is different than what I talked about just before, earlier. You're going to want to have that conversation with your cabinet member before you draft your MOU MOA. This right here is asking, have they seen the document that you've drafted? Have they seen that MOU that is drafted? If they have not seen that document, they know that you're going to get into this partnership, but they haven't seen the actual document, that's totally fine. Then you would just say no. If they've seen it, then you would say yes, they've seen it already. But just let it just mark here if they have actually seen that MOU that you've drafted already. In this case, I'm going to say no. CAO, I'll say CAO Massey has not seen this document yet. She knows I'm going into this relationship, but she hasn't seen it. And has the executive sponsor forwarded this MOU to the Office of General Counsel to review a signature? More than likely, the answer is going to be no. That's why you're submitting it. It hasn't gone to OGC just yet. But if it has gone there and they have seen it, you can click yes. But more than likely, it's going to be no. This is more than likely going to be no. And then now you get into who you are working with. So your MOU MOA partner name, this is where you're going to put the agency or the business name. This is where you put the business name. So in this case, I'm going to say this is Test LLC, right? That's who we're working with. And my point of contact is going to be Testany Testerson, okay? And their email address is going to be test@test.net. Okay. And their phone number, of course, is 555-555-5555, of course. And this question is, has the partner already signed the contract that you're submitting? Has your third party already signed the contract? I'm going to say no, they haven't signed it. You know, this is a draft. It's not a draft. It's a document. It's ready to be signed, but you know, President Edison is going to be the first one to sign it, or whatever the case might be. So deadline for completion. I'm going to say my deadline is I need it in 2 weeks or something like that. Be sure that when you are submitting an MOU, you are giving all of the parties that need to approve your MOU enough time to actually see it. We aren't always aware of where everyone kind of is, or what their workload is, or what their priorities are. Cabinet members go on vacation. General counsel goes on vacation. Cabinet members get sick. General counsel gets sick. The president gets sick. The president goes on vacation. You never know where people are, or what kind of priorities and things they have going on. So you want to make sure that you do give ample time for them to be able to get to this MOU, review the other MOUs that they may have in their queue already, but then get to yours, review it, and do whatever they need to do, even if it's editing, things need to shift and change. Make room, make buffer for that to happen as well, so that you won't find yourself in a scenario where you kind of are pressed up against a deadline that you promised your partner that, you know, possibly may not have been realistic at the front end. So just give ample time in these partnerships, or at least set expectation that, you know, it may take some time to get this MOU signed. Some MOUs it takes a week. Some of them take a little longer. It changes here and there. So I'm going to say this is urgent. You know, if they ask urgent or non-urgent, I'm going to say urgent. And do I have any additional docs? In this case, I'm going to say no. But this would be a good This would be a good place that if you got that, you know, written confirmation from your cabinet member that, like, yes, you can go ahead and move into this partnership or whatever, then you would click yes and just say, like, confirmation. When it says describe the contents being submitted, I'd say confirmation. What was it? MOU proposal confirmation email, something like that. You know, you would just say that's what you're going to be submitting. But in this case, I'm gonna just say no, I don't have any additional documents. Then after you finish the form, you know, just check through, make sure everything is correct, make sure it's all right. Then in the top right-hand corner, there's this button that says add MOU MOA. There's a reason why it says add and not submit, and I'm gonna show you why. You click that, and you'll see a pop-up box that says your MOU MOA application has been created. Please add your MOU documents to complete the submission process. What has happened is that MOU essentially has now found itself on the track it is going to follow. It read all of that information in terms of who your executive sponsor is this academic, non-academic, and it put it on a specific track that it's going to now route its way through as the MOU goes down the pipe. But what it needs now, it now needs your documents. So when that happens, when you submit that, you're going to want to just refresh your page, and you will see in the My Work section, you have a step. You have something that you need to do. There's a task here assigned to you, which is add documents, MOU add documents. You will click back in here, right? It might ask you to log back in. That's a glitch that we're still working on and figuring out. But again, if you save your username, password, all that stuff, it'll log in. As you can see, I just want to make sure you check here on the left-hand side. You'll see that your name, email address, all that stuff should have been uploaded from the Active Directory. If something's off or wrong, this is your chance to change it. If it didn't upload, put it in. But just make sure all this stuff is correct over here. But now it's time for you to add your documents. So right here, this document section that wasn't available last time is available now. So now you can actually add your MOU and documents, all the documents that we said you're going to need. So here, you're going to go click add this button and then add documents from local system. Then you're going to click choose files. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Now my files have just popped up, and I'm going to select my MOU that's ready for signature. My MOU is here. Now I'm going to categorize this so the system knows what document this is. In this case, this is the MOU that's going to be getting signed. And the MOU that needs to be signed must be in Word form. Make sure that it is in Word form, the one that needs to be signed. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is my MOU document, and I will add it. And you'll see the system will take a moment, and it has uploaded my MOU for signature. Now you can do this one at a time if you like. Click going back in and out and putting each document in, or you can go back in, choose file or files. It's coming. It's just taking a little moment for it to load up. Okay. Now that my pop-up is here, I can now click my funding cert. I can select multiple documents if I choose. So here I'm selecting my funding cert, my original MOU, and my OUR routing form. I can select all my documents all at once if I want to. That's also an option for you. So I'm going to select all. Now you're going to want to click this button that says apply different properties to each document. You're going to want to do that because then what you're going to be able to do is you will go through each, it will move through each of these documents. So funding cert document. I know that's my funding cert. So I'm going to categorize it as funding cert. Next document that I selected, original MOU. Okay, so that's my original MOU because this is a renewal. So I'm going to click original MOU. Then my next document, my routing form, that's there. Okay, I'm going to let my system know that this is the routing form. And then I will add all of the documents are now in my system. Okay, and you can even click on them, make sure that they're right. You click on it, a viewer pops up here in the top, almost center here. You can look through your documents. These are all templated, so they're not like active. But you can see that's the funding cert. You can see my memo, my MOU that needs to be signed. I can see that in the viewer. I can see my original MOU is in the viewer. I can see my routing form is all here. All of the stuff is here. So top right corner here, click close. All right, my documents are here. My form is filled out and everything seems fine. I would go ahead and save the case state right there, save that so that, nothing happens. If for any reason you decide, the task is back in your court. If for any reason you decide you don't want to move forward with this MOU, this is just not a relationship we're going to go forward with or whatever, you have the option to delete that MOU, MOA. Now recognize when you delete it though, it is gone. You'll have to start all over and do the form all over again if you want to come back in. But if you say you don't want to move forward with this MOU, then you go ahead and delete it. That's fine. In this case, we're going to go ahead and submit. We think this is fine and we're ready for it to go. So we're going to click. All right, as you see, your MOU MOA application has been submitted. Great. Now that it's been submitted, what's going to happen next is that it's going to make its way through the process. So I'm going to show you what happens now. I'm going to duplicate this again. On the back end, what is going to happen is that's going to make its way to, say, an administrative liaison who is going to then see your MOU, check on it, and determine whether or not, they're going to just check through it and just make sure everything is together, all the documents are there. And if they say that it's fine, then they're going to go ahead and move it on to the next party, and it's going to make its way down the system. So let me see. Are you ready? Let me see. I just got an email. Let me see. All right. So what's going to happen? I want to make sure I talk to you guys about something else that may happen. So your MOU may be going down the path of getting approved. What can also happen, though, is that as it makes its way down, there could be an edit or an issue that it runs into, and someone along the approving route may send the document back to you in the system. So when that happens, see, MOU needs update. When that happens, you're going to receive a message. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and share. Apologies. Let me see. Okay, you're going to get an email that looks like this. Something may happen, and your MOU has an error, or something needs to be corrected in your MOU. You're going to receive an email that looks like this. It says a case update, MOU review is available for you. You'll click this button right here, log into UDC Case Manager, and when you click that button, it'll take you right back to the MOU system, right? So when you click that button, it's going to take you back to the MOU system. You'll log in, and you will end up, oh, sorry, not that one. See, brush. Yes. Yes, you'll get back into the system and you will see this. You'll log in and you'll see something that says MOU review. You'll see from Test LLC. You'll say, okay, what's going on? What happened? You click back into the MOU and you will see there's a note here. Case comment history, look down and you'll see the administrative liaison side, they said it was ready to advance. They let it go on. Then it got to the VP of research. VP of research said the funding certification needed to be provided or something happened. And you needed to correct it. Okay, so say this wasn't the right document, something happened. You'll be able to then go to that document. In most cases, this will probably come because your MOU needs to be corrected. Maybe a paragraph or something like that needs to change or something. But in this case, let's just say it's the funding cert. You'll go to the document, you will right click, and you will check out, similar to like a library, you will check out the document, check out and download the document. The document will download. You can then edit and do whatever you need to do. And then when you're done editing and fixing whatever your problem was, you will then go back into the system and you will check in the corrected document or whatever needed to be corrected. You will check it back in, right click, check it back in, choose the file. You will go back and upload what needed to be corrected. Open. Make sure it's, everything's together, and then check in. You will see major version 2 here. The reason why it says major version 2 is because now there are 2 versions in there. So you will be able to go, let's see. Well, actually, I think that's the approver. I apologize. The approver will be able to see your major version. But ultimately, you'll be able to see that your updated version is is now there and is ready for the approver to now go and check the updated version of your document and work on it. So here you're going to put a comment and just say uploaded updated doc. Let's just say something like that. And then MOU updated. Now, when that happens, that document is not going to go back and do the process, go back to the administrative liaison and go back through to the person that saw it already. No, it's going to go right back to the person that told you something was off. So in this case, it was the VP of research. As you can see now, it's back in the Test LLC. Now it's back in the VP of research's queue. Now they can go back and look at it. They can now get here, see the document, might open it up, say, okay, let me see. Oh yeah, this seems fine now. And then they will then go and approve it, say that it's ready to move on. Go from there to the CAO. We'll see it. This is any cabinet member. It's not just, but it'll go on to the cabinet member that's along the route. Cabinet member sees it. They said this is cool. This is fine. Then they move on. They pass it on. Then it goes on to the attorneys. If there is going to be a change, more than likely the attorneys are going to be doing it, and they're probably going to be updating your MOU. Now, what the attorneys usually do is the reason why it has to be a Word doc is if they have edits, they're going to upload. They're going to check out the MOU. They're going to make their edits and put it into the comment section and track their changes, and then they are going to upload that document with the suggested comments and changes. And that is going to be what you ultimately work in, and you will then put, if you're okay with the changes or whatever the case might be, you'll then accept the changes or whatnot, and then upload the document that should be the final one, and you'll send it back to them. But in this case, like I said, if they had an issue, they'll let you know. But in this case, let's say that they said everything is fine and it's ready for the president to sign. All right, it's ready for presidential signature. It moves on. And then it's in the president's queue. President can get to the document. President can sign it. They will upload the signed version, say that it's signed, and that's gone. And then the last step is that it's going to come back to me and OPI. We are just going to make sure, because we're going to archive it. So before it hits the OPI record retention archive, we look at the document and make sure that both the president has signed it and the third party has signed it. If the president signed it and the third party didn't, I'm going to send it back and say, hey, make sure the third party signs this. Third party signs it, sends it back. If I have a version that the third party and the president signed, then I'm going to say, okay, this is good to go. This is ready for archive. And then I'm going to archive the MOU. At that point, once it's archived, there will be an email that you receive. Let's see. It's going to be coming in soon. Let's see. What's this? All right. It just came in. Case closed. You'll get an email that says this. It says approved. UDC MOU case closed. When it's case closed, you can click that button that says log in to your case finder. You click that button, and then it'll take you to this page, which has all of the documents that you submitted, all of that stuff, and you'll be able to pick up your signed MOU right here, showing that it's completed. Now, let's just say, for some reason, you want to know, hey, my MOU, like this is taking a little bit of time here. I want to figure out where my MOU is in process. Oh, let me go back to U.S. representative. Okay, so yeah, I'm back in my homepage. I want to know where my MOU is in process. I want to figure out who has it. Right next to this work tab here is this tab called cases, right? Cases is the archive. This is where you can see the MOUs that are in process and the ones that are done. You would go to, it already has it here, MOU originator email. You'll type in your email address, click search, and you will see my MOUs are completed, but if yours is still in process, it'll say working. Case status state will be working. But you can click on this button, click on where your MOU was from, or where your MOU, you'll be able to see all of the comments as that MOU made its way. If your MOU, say, was denied for some reason, you'll also be able to see the denial reason in there as well. But if you want to figure out where your MOU is, then you come down here to this bottom tab. You see that that Xbox. You'll maximize this this graph here, and then click academic MOU. You'll expand this box here, and you can see where it is and what it has where it has gone in terms of its flow. If it's with somebody, it'll show as being with them. Okay, it'll show, you know, legal review. It'll have a little play button saying legal review, which means that it's still with the cabinet, or it's still with the president, or it's still with the VP of research, research review. You'll see exactly where it is, right there. So you'll know how long it's been, when it got in, how long it's taken, all of that. That's now something that you can see. So that is the new MOU system that we have. As I stated, I went down the academic route just because that is one that is a little bit more involved than the non-academic. Non-academic is a little bit more simple, but it follows similar. It's a similar process. Only difference is the VP of research doesn't review MOU, and you don't need a writing form. So with that, I have some time now. Does anyone have any questions? Raise your hands, and I can answer your questions. Yes, Donna.
Yes, the current MOUs that we're working on now, will they be integrated into this beta test, or are they still following the normal process?
They will follow the normal process. What we're gonna do is we're going to no longer accept any more MOUs into Qualtrics, and the MOUs that are already in the system, the ones that are in Qualtrics, they're going to still be worked through the way that they've been worked through up until when they're done.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Dorothy.
Hi, my question is, I have two questions. So you mentioned when we start the process, we have to get written confirmation from our administrator.
From your, you want to get written confirmation from your cabinet member that you can start this relationship or get into this partnership. You want to have a meeting with your cabinet member and talk to them about what you plan to, what this partnership will be, and you need confirmation that they know about this partnership. Because what has happened is cabinet members have received MOUs, and they said that they have no idea where this partnership came from and have no idea why a legal contract has been written. So
when you refer to cabinet members, who are cabinet members?
cabinet members are members with the title chief in front of their title. Are you and I apologies for my ignorance. Are you a faculty member?
I am faculty and I'm part of the SLP program.
Okay,
So Ms.
awesome.
Winchett Demessi and I work together on these MOUs and affiliations. And I believe our cabinet member would be the CAO. Am I correct on that?
That is correct.
Okay, so she would know what we do because we get these agreements for our clinicians to go to their externship sites. Do we still need to have a written document for that?
Check in with her and see if she feels that she needs that. If she says, you know, no, yeah, I'm fine, then that's okay. Only reason why I say you will want to get written confirmation is that when it makes it to her, when that MOU makes it into her inbox, you just don't. I'm sure you all already had that conversation, but if you hadn't had that conversation, you don't want her to get to it and say, I don't know what this is, deny, and it's done at that
We're
point.
gonna start all over again. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and then in that drop down, thank you for that. So my second question, in that drop down, when you talk about the length of time that is needed, we know we're not going to put 2 weeks. Is it realistic to put 1 month, 2 months, or do you want us to put max? Like, what?
I don't. So here's the, and someone had a similar question. So the issue we had with the past MOU system is that there was no way for us to actually determine how long it takes for an MOU to be processed. That has always been the issue. But with this system, we now have the ability to timestamp. So we are now entering into a new era where we can now actually have data to like now determine how long an MOU actually takes. So while I don't have the ability to tell you specifically how long an MOU takes, I would say, you know, however long you believe you generally need for an MOU. If you believe like I can give this about 3 months, or I've worked with this partner doesn't need it for about 3 months or whatever. Do put whatever you can. I can't give you a set recommendation.
Got it.
I would just say, whatever has worked or you believe to be realistic based off of your past experience, I would go with that.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Um, um, why, Winshed, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I apologize.
Okay, I'm so glad that it is becoming more transparent and using the same MOU, I believe
Hmm.
that yes. And is there any other system that you have um to have the interdepartmental up to the dean a signature that we need to track?
Right.
Do you?
We don't yet. And I know that's a good because I know I really do want to automate the routing sheet. Um, I that is definitely something that I've been thinking about and I would like for that to be a part of maybe phase two, if not phase three of this system. But the only I'll tell you what the challenge is that while deans generally do maintain their seat, there's so many chairs and deans do change sometimes. With the changing that happens, that means we have to reprogram them on a regular basis, and that's where it becomes a little bit technically difficult. But I do want to have the ability to do that, and I think we will be getting there. But we just don't have that right now. But that is definitely something that I have in terms of like, and when I talk about the iterative nature, like phase two or phase three, that's the next things I want to automate that routing form in order to tack it on to the front end of this system.
Can I have another one, or
Sure.
do I have to come back? Um, on those intake forms and other uh, the one that we are going to do the new ones and the one that we do the renewal ones, how are we going to use the templates? I see a template that we need to put in, and can we use for resubmit kind of renewal
Mhm.
forms? Can we do the same routing forms
Mm. Right. Okay. So, so
for
if you were
renewal?
to for a renewal, so like if you had a routing
Yes.
form from 2023 and this is a renewal, could you go back to the 2023 form and use that?
And
Ha-
without any
sorry?
changes on the MOU?
Hmm. I think that's something that you'll have to have you been able to do that in the past?
Yes, it was. I was supposed to do because there were some people in the officials, their name might be changed. A person who has been the primary person may be gone, and all these kinds of things. I have to redo the thing, but would it accept when I say this one is new, but the main MOU is a resubmit?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
How does it
Um,
affect?
I think I, okay, I'm gonna just say I don't know. I would check in with probably Laura Lee and ask her how they would want to receive those.
Handle it? Yeah.
And yeah, check with like either Laura Lee or I think they said Dr. Basura is now going to be signing for MOUs. So I'm not sure. I would check with Laura Lee and see what she
Okay.
says. Um,
Uh,
okay.
the last one. The last one.
Uh-huh.
Um. Okay. Let me check. On the payment, we do not have a payment, but we do have a reliability certificate.
Okay.
How do we handle that?
You'll put that as additional documentation.
As
Yeah, just put it as additional
a
documentation.
certificate or as
Authenticate.
payment? Is it considered as payment? We're just giving them a certification that we have like $3 million. And is that a payment? Well,
Well,
how's
this
it
is not,
handled?
these are not payments. Sorry. The
This
certificate of
was a promise.
fundability is not a payment. It's just it's a form from the OCFO. Like, because you'll say, hey, we're going to be sending OSI $10,000. Let's just say that. We're going to send OSI $10,000 for some system that they have. You need to go to OCFO, and OCFO has to confirm that you have that
Yes.
money in the bank. And that's what we need. It's not gonna authenticate a payment or anything like that. It just pretty much just states we're about to enter this agreement and we actually do have the money. That's all that says, that form or that document does.
Okay, so with the document, when it is finished with the
Mhm.
president's signature, do we have to attach that certificate? The certificate of liability certificate to the MOU? We used to
No.
do it differently.
Oh, maybe I'm not sure about that. Maybe that has to do with procurement. That might have to be a procurement thing. This MOU system is all prepayment. Anything that has to do with post payment or anything like that, that exists outside of the
With,
system.
I'm talking about even with the promise, is it possible to put it in there because there is a payment part of it in the system, in the new system?
Well, the
It
new
gives you
system.
the option that
Mhm.
if there is is it possible to put the certificate in there?
The certificate.
Or Mhm.
Oh no, I'm sorry. So for this process, that certificate you're speaking of is not required to process an MOU. The funding certificate is required, but that no, if you want to include it, you can, but you would just select it as additional. If you have it and it's there, you would put it as additional
Now I
documentation.
have to ask the procurement.
Potentially, yes. You will
Yes.
talk to procurement and see if because they may need it. Maybe if you have to go through Jagger when you're ready to make a payment. Um, but for the MOU, that is not a required document for MOUs.
Okay. Thank you.
Um, no problem. And Patrick, and I apologize for going over everyone.
Yeah, so my question is about the actual creation of the MOU. Currently, that interaction with the Office of the General Counsel, is there any, because how do you get a draft of the MOU to put into the system?
If you, how do you get a draft of the MOU to put into the system, like a template?
Yeah, to create, are there templates that are going to be put on here? How do you actually create that? Because this presumes that you're going to have a MOU document,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
some people may not have the ability to create this draft. How does the system work to improve that situation?
Oh, for sure. Actually, so on if you on the website, if you go to the Office of the General Counsel's website, they have templates for MOUs. So
Okay.
you could use that as a starting point. And sometimes partners have worked in have some partners, some government agencies have done these MOUs before. So you could, if you are working with a government agency or whoever you're working with, you could tell them, hey, have you done this type of relationship before? Have you done this type of thing before? If they say yes, and you say, okay, can you provide me with a template? And they may have a template to kind of start us out with and get going. Oftentimes, the MOUs that I've seen actually have originated from the third party. Like the third party was the one that started the draft, and then the UDC representative looked at that draft, changed it around to make it fit for UDC, and they went back and forth with their partner until they were like, okay, this is a draft that we like, and then we send it up the chain, and then our attorneys look at it and see if they agree with the terms and what they think needs to change. But I would say work with work with them. If you need to go to the OGC site, they have templates. And also, we may have some in past, if there is a filing system in whichever unit you're working in, talk to your colleagues and see if they have past MOUs that might be similar, and you could use those as a starting point and work back from there.
Perfect. Appreciate it. I have to sign off now because of some other meetings, but I really appreciate this. And you're going to send us a link to the recording, this PowerPoint. What are you going to send us?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and send you all the recap to this, which will include all of that stuff.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And everyone have a great afternoon. Thank you.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne?
So I understood you to say that, excuse me, after the third party signs the actual MOU, that you would need it to actually upload or archive. So for us, the third party vendor will not sign off on the MOU until it's been signed off by general counsel and the president.
Mhm.
So do we actually go back in and re-upload this form to the actual portal, or how do we get that back to you to actually archive? And if you indicated that, I'm sorry if I missed it.
No worries, no worries. So,
Mhm.
and it's a great point because it's funny because someone asked the same question yesterday. So I definitely want to make sure I state this. So that is the reason why there's that OPI final review portion. Because so if the document makes its way all the way down the pipe and it gets to the president is the first one to sign it, which happens sometimes. So the
Mhm.
president is the first one to sign it. When the president signs it and approves it and says I've signed it, it'll end up coming into an inbox that to me, and I will go through the document before it is archived. I will look at that document and I will see if all of the parties have signed it. If anybody has not signed it, I'm going to then uh, click a button to send it back to you and say needs attorney signature or needs third party signature. And you will then be able to get that document that's been signed by the president, download it, get it to your third party, have them sign it, and then upload it. Now, there's a term that I want you guys to hear. There's check-in and check-out, similar to the library. When you are downloading a document, you are checking it out, just like a library, you're taking it out. And when you are uploading it, you are checking it in and you're putting it back. Not per se putting it back, but you're going to put back in the updated, the newer, the one that has been corrected or changed. Check in the corrected one. And so when you do that, you're going to say, click a button and say, it's good. I'm going to get it. And then I'm going to see, oh, all the names, everything has been signed. And then I will archive the document at that point, and you will get that case closed message letting you know the document is archived and we have everything.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Talessa?
Yeah, thank you. This second time is very handy now. Can we get this video recorded? I like especially updating the revised MOU. That area is tricky. I think if you have a recorded one, it will be very helpful.
Sure. So I'm going to send everyone after this. I'll send a link to the recap so that you all have the recording and things from this session.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right. Any other questions? That's it. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. I appreciate you guys staying over, and I look forward to working with you all. If you run into any issues as we start to roll this out, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you, even if I have to share my screen and do the click through. I believe you all are going to be great at this new system, and hopefully it makes everybody's lives and jobs a bit easier.
Should be
Thank you
better
so
than
much.
what we had before. So I'm very hopeful.
Yes.
We didn't have any.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
All right,
Bye.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.